Well, looks like they picked the wrong week to stop sniffing glue. They picked the wrong week to quit drinking. They picked the wrong week to quit amphetamines. Looks like they picked the wrong week to stop being assholes. 3 days a week, they're able to hold it together. This is not one of those days. Welcome to Fuckery with the Nice Guys. Adults need not apply. No interviews, lots of ranting, and they sometimes stumble onto something useful. Go figure. Now it's time for Nice Guys Fuckery with the kings of fuckery themselves, Doug Sandler and Strickland Bonner.
You know, I get home and I immediately connect with you. I don't know how we first connected. I think we had our meeting with our accountant today, and then we had a client meeting, and I must have said to you something about I'm going to the gym, and I may as well have told you, hey, guess what, Strickland? Unicorns actually exist, and monkeys can fly.
That's it, dude. I'm telling you, as soon as I got the text from you and it said, yeah, I'm heading to the gym later, and I'm like, who is this, and what have you done with Doug Sandler?
I've been going to the gym since the beginning of the year, and I went to the gym pre-COVID. I was going to the gym probably for a solid year. I must never have mentioned it to you though.
You mentioned it at one time, but I didn't think it was something regular, especially since you've been in Ojai, because it's like, you know, you're jogging and hiking and doing all this other shit. Like, why would you want to? And like, Ojai doesn't even have a gym, it seems like, right? I don't know.
Well, they do have a gym. You go to this open field and you move boulders from one side to the
right,
other.
That's what it feels like. It's exactly what I would picture a gym in Ojai. Exactly.
There is actually a gym. It's not a franchise gym, since you know there's no franchises here in Ojai. So there's no like LA Fitness or 24-hour fitness or Anytime Fitness. There's the Bryant Street Gym. It's pretty much what it is. And what's really interesting, it's in the same little strip center as Ojai Greens, which is the dispensary.
Oh, nice. I love that. That's funny. That's a great combination right there. Yeah.
It's very rare that there's more than maybe one or two people that are in the gym when JJ and I are there. And but they do have something very interesting. Today I saw a whole bunch of scantily clad, very tight fitting, workout attire women that were coming into the gym. And I noticed that each one of them had this really unusually round shaped pad that they were bringing in, like this big pad. It's almost like a disc that you have to roll in because it's that big. I didn't realize that it was actually the base for the pole exercises that they have there.
Pole dancing? You mean, in other words, they're doing
well,
pole
you know,
dancing?
I think that there is an exercise group pole. Isn't there like a pole exercise that you do? Like,
yeah, I mean, there's people that do like exercise routines on pole dancing. Yeah.
They probably have gone to every strip joint in town, and they're like in the world or in Vegas, and they're like, hey, this thing must really be a good workout because I've never seen like an overweight stripper. So,
you haven't been to the strip clubs I've been to, apparently.
That's right. Man, we went to some really bad places.
Welcome back. My name is Strickland Bonner. On the other side of the microphone, Mr. Doug Sandler. Hey. Yes, this is the show. No, it doesn't get any better. No. Hey, Doug,
I noticed you have some Southwest drink tickets in your
that was
hands.
it. I was getting ready to say, look, do you see how well Southwest knows me? Look, they gave me drink tickets. So that's
did you just get those recently in the mail?
I did, as a matter of fact. Yeah.
It is so great when I get those in the mail. And then I remembered that they didn't have the last few times that I have flied. Now, my most recent flight, they did offer adult beverages. But prior to that, they only offered like soft drinks and coffee.
They have only recently started to offer the adult beverages again, which is, I guess, why they're sending coupons out so us frequent flyers can get them. Yeah, I don't drink on the plane very often, but sometimes, if it's free.
But when I do, I'm going to need all four of these.
I'm going to need all four of them on every flight. Exactly.
Do they used to not really check like the expiration date or anything? Do they do that anymore, or they still don't care?
I don't have any that are super old. I don't know, but I don't know. It doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter.
What's your, when you are flying, what is your go-to drink? Now, because they don't have like a full bar, they just kind of have like the lookalikes. Like they'll have, instead of a margarita, they'll have like a margarita in a can, and then they give you like a little shot of tequila next to it.
They have Tito's, so you can get like, Tito's and whatever you want to drink with it. Is it Tito's or is it Deep Eddy? I don't know.
Well,
I just don't drink
Deep
on the
Eddy.
plane that often, so I don't have a regular kind of, drink on the plane kind of thing.
Hold on. I got a cat that wants to come in. Hold on.
Oh, well, we got to go to the important things, right?
Hold on. Who is
Yeah.
Well, hello, Winter. It is our non-cat.
Your cat that's not your cat.
That lives here. It's the best. He's like, fuck, you guys feed me so good and you provide me with cool water. And hello, Winter. Good to see you. Come on in. Oh my gosh. Yeah. So anyway, I do go to the gym here. And I have been enjoying it. Now, me, of course, I'm just trying to stay at the peak of of staying healthy. So I guess for me, between hiking and the gym, I'm feeling good. I feel like this is a good thing for me.
I've been doing like a juice cleanse for a couple of days. So I'm doing the same thing. I'm trying to get myself, back in a little shape, take off a little of the extra dad weight, Yeah.
Well, you're getting back to your dating weight.
Right.
Gotta get back to your dating weight.
You see things very clearly, Doug. You know exactly what I'm talking about.
I know. I figured, you were dating a younger woman for quite some time. I figured he's not letting himself go because he's, it's a much younger woman, and there's no way that he can ever look bad. And you always look the same to me. But then again, I only see you from like the mid chest up, so I don't know what's going on below the mid chest.
Yeah, that's the bad part. We don't want to look at that. Yeah.
So, what is the dating scene like right now? If you had to encapsulate it into a sentence or two, what would you consider the dating scene right now?
It sucks. All the apps just suck. They're just bad. But it is what it is.
What makes an app bad? Like, do each of them have their own particularities? Like, one's like a I'm gonna get laid site, and one's a I'm gonna meet intellectuals site, and like, what is it all about now?
Yeah, they definitely do each have their own kind of personality. It's just so the way it works on these sites, like if you're just an average guy like me, right? Like you might see, I don't know, 10, 20, 50 women and say, oh yeah, I like you. And it's like none of them will connect, but the women get bombarded, right? Like the women just completely get bombarded. And you know what? Whatever. It is what it is. It's whatever. I don't like
I found that, and I think you'll agree with me on this one, the only common, denominator in all of my failed relationships is me, that one.
Yeah.
Maybe the only reason you're not getting, people to swipe towards you is because it's you. You ever think about that? I mean, I love you and all, but I'm not going to date you.
No, definitely a possibility. And you know what? It is what it is. It's all good. Yeah.
So where else do people find connections? Not just a hookup connection, even though that's nice too. There never was when I was.
It's different sites for that. Like there's Tinder is like a more of a hookup kind of site, where OkCupid or like Match.com are more like looking for a relationship. Although there's definitely a lot of overlap, in all of them, I think.
So if you had to really boil it down to its brass tacks, are you looking for a relationship or are you looking for cat? Because I don't liken you to someone that is looking for a long-term relationship. You kind of want something a little bit more casual, but not just a hookup. So is there a tweener site that you can go to?
Well, it is funny because I definitely think that is spot on of what I'm looking for. Like I'm not looking to get married again, but I like hanging out and spending time with people. And I'm definitely not looking for just like one night stand hookup kind of thing. And you just got to put that out on the on your profile, and that's okay. Everybody's looking for a little something different. That's all right.
All right, so let's move on because that's
this is not a sore subject.
This damn cat is in here, and it just all Winter wants to do is make trouble. This is why he is an outside cat, because he comes into the house and he's like, "This guitar looks nice." He like starts to scrape on it. Hey, this leather sofa. He likes to.
I see him. He's clawing away at your sofa right now.
Hold on. He's got to go.
Clawing away at that leather, just chopping it right up. That's a really nice chair. So Doug's got this pair. Doug has a pair of nice leather chairs, but like, do you ever use them?
You see the big TV set, right? The 75-inch television set that I have in my 10 by 10 office. You see that? Like when I turn the TV set on, I get sunburned, that kind of thing. I do like to turn the chair around and watch the TV that's in here. I raise my stand-up desk as high as it goes. I take one of those leather chairs that's behind me and I put it actually under the desk so that I have this nice little alcove. It's like my man cave. I can turn on the TV, but I don't do it as often as I would like to. I call them I really like shoot 'em up movies. I like any kind of war movie. I'm not a violent guy, but man, I like war movies a lot. The more dead people in the movies, the better. But I don't like zombie apocalypse kind of war movies. I like the real looking, like almost like Saving Private Ryan kind of, Full Metal Jacket kind of movies. Those are to me are the bomb. You don't like that kind of stuff, do you?
I'm not so into war movies. I mean, if it's like an action movie, if there's lots of dead bodies and carnage because of action, I'm down with that. I like a good heist movie. What was the one that was on Netflix that I saw recently?
Oh, did you watch Money Heist?
Money Heist.
Money Heist was the one that I think it's in Italian.
Right, but it's a series, right?
It's a series. Oh my God.
Yeah, I watched a couple of them. I watched 3 or 4 like a year ago and I was like, eh.
Oh, I think it was 5 seasons. I watched all 5 seasons like in 3 days.
Really? Maybe I got to go back to it because I remember watching like 4 or 5 episodes and I'm like, okay, like it's
kind of the same storyline repeated over and over again, but it's not as predictable as I was thinking it was going to be. And even though it is a dub, like English dub over either Italian or I can't tell where they are.
It's Italian, yeah.
Italian. It was a good movie. And I think what I really like to do is when I go to Netflix, I like to just pick the movies and the shows that are like top 10. I don't know if you've ever seen they do like their top picks.
Oh, sure. Yeah. I've found a lot of good new shows that way. So it was interesting too with the Money Heist, as you said, I'm watching the first like 5 episodes, right? And it is a single bank heist, right? Like some of it is flashback to them planning.
Stuff, right? Yeah.
But and I remember seeing it and I noticed there's a 2nd season and a 3rd season. I'm thinking to myself, how long can one heist last?
Well, it's multiple heists. So
it's the same crew, but like each season is a heist?
I don't think each season is a heist, but I think in the course of, I believe if I remember correctly, it was 5 seasons or 4 seasons, something like that. But I'm thinking it was 5. I can't remember if it was 2 or 3 heists that they do.
See, that was the funny thing too, because I think if I remember correctly now, when I was watching, I get to the 5th episode and I'm thinking like, this isn't really moving along. And then when I saw that there's a 2nd season, I'm like, is this one fucking heist going to go across 2 seasons? Fuck that.
Yeah.
But you liked it. You said it was good.
I did. I really liked it. I liked it a lot. I liked it because it involves all the elements for me. There was a lot of action. There was some drama. There's some romance in it as well.
Okay.
It was good. It was good.
Okay.
I liked it. I would definitely recommend it. If you're going to need something for like maybe a couple weeks that you can literally binge watch and still take you, several. I don't think I watched it in 3 days. I think I'm just joking. I think it took me a few weeks to watch the entire thing. But man, when you get into an episode and then you're ready to, when I originally started watching it, I may have said this on Nice Guys, maybe 6 months ago when I first started watching it, I thought it was 5 episodes. And it ended up being, let's say, or 4 episodes. It was 5 seasons. Yeah. Because it said in 5 parts. So I'm like, oh, that means 5 parts. That's easy. That's 5 episodes. I'll check that out. Yeah, but it was good. I would definitely recommend it. Definitely recommend it.
Cool.
So what else is going on in the world of Strickland Bonner? You got your guitars behind you. Been gigging it all or no?
I did an audition with a band on Tuesday, actually, and they want to hire me, and they're just not. They're okay. They're not great. I don't think I'm gonna do it. I want to find decent players. Maybe I'll put my own band together. I don't know. I want to play again, but I want to play with guys that are good and that are experienced. Like these guys, they're decent musicians, right? But like they just don't have a lot of experience playing out.
Well, that's just it.
And
You need almost like somebody that is really good in the band with just making all of the arrangements for the band itself to go out and do stuff. And then you need somebody that's coordinating the band. And you don't want to do all that shit, do you? I mean, maybe you do. I don't know. You said I might want to do my own thing. Could you come up with a band, on the fly?
I could, I just don't want to. It is so much damn work, which is why I haven't done it. I really do want to find somebody because there's so many musicians in Austin and a lot of guys that are really experienced. And it's like, I just don't want to do the work. It's just not that important to me. I keep thinking I might put together like an acoustic solo thing with tracks. I mean, shit, I could go book that myself and make $200 or $300 in a night, maybe, and tips and shit. That might be kind of fun, but I just, whatever. I don't know.
Well, I also don't see you doing the band thing or even the solo thing it'd be great to be able to make a couple of bucks. And I mean, like I always think, hey, I got the DJ equipment sitting right in my garage. If somebody would just hire me to do a wedding or a bar mitzvah here, I would almost take anything. This is coming from a guy I would work between $5,000 and $7,000 back east and not take a cent less than that. But I'm like, shit, if somebody wanted me to do a wedding and they were like, within a half hour of where I live, which would be Ojai or Santa Barbara, I'd go out there for less than $1,000. I'd probably go out there for less than $500. Yeah. I just don't feel like doing the work to get the gig.
Hell no.
I'll hand out a card, but that's about all I'm going to do right now. I got a call this past week. An email. I got an email this past week for somebody that wanted me to fly back to DC to do a bar mitzvah. And I know based upon the fact that it was a repeat that it would be, they already know what my pricing is, so they wouldn't have argued about my price. I just didn't feel like doing it. I just said, no. I got another gig in like 3 weeks, and that would really mean I'd have to either fly back again or I'd have to stay there. And I love my mom, but to stay with her and her boyfriend for 3 weeks, I don't know.
Now, is this the same boyfriend she's been with for like over a year?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Everything's good there?
Hot and heavy, man.
Hot and heavy, huh?
I mean, as hot and heavy as it can get for a 89 and a 90-year-old.
Jesus, your mom's 89?
I know. My mom is 89, but she's kind of like me. She's just like a fucking kid. She really is. I get it totally from her. I mean, I remember her saying to me, and this is probably somewhere around her 80th birthday. So this is like almost 10 years ago. I think we had a celebration for her when her last husband, my stepfather, was still alive. And I think this was right before we were heading out to her party. And she goes, I don't know how I got here. I mean, I don't know how I got to 80. She said, I still feel like a kid. I mean, I still act like a kid. I still feel like there is a parent that's looking down on me, saying parenting things. And I feel kind of like a girl. I don't really feel like an 80-year-old. I kind of get it, when it's just JJ and I were sitting around the house talking and I'll slip into some like baby talk kind of thing. I'm like, I still feel like a kid to us. Do you go through that ever? Or, I mean, were you the older brother or younger brother? I can't remember.
Older, but just by a year and a half. You, do you remember when you first met Carol Higgins?
Yeah, of course I do.
Okay. So Carol Higgins was a guy who was a band leader in one of the other bands at Washington Talent Agency. And he's a guy who had been around for quite a few years. He's probably 15 years older than us or something.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. He's probably, let's see. He's probably in his late 60s right now. I bet he is, maybe 70.
So I remember like when I first met him, I was probably 28, 29, right? And
so that would put him in his mid-40s.
He's right. He's mid-40s. And I just remember looking at him going, fuck, you're fucking old, right? And it's like, I'm 10 years older than that now. It's like, I don't feel fucking old. It's just so weird. Everything's perception. It's all about where you are and the way you look at things.
Oh, what's so funny about it?
I feel the same way. I'm like,
it's so funny that you're like, you just brought that all to, I remember meeting Carol Higgins. Like Carol isn't the creator of whether you're young or old, but you remember the perspective that you took when you met Carol. It was, he seems like an old dude.
Exactly.
I mean,
and it wasn't like Carol was the kind of guy that carried himself as an old dude. I mean, he was kind of more laid back and more chill, but it wasn't like I would call him like a broken down old guy at 45. But it's just that perspective, right? Because I think of myself like we're fucking 56, and I think how does a 30-year-old see us? And it's like, I
don't
don't
know.
even
Let me
think
ask
about
my-
that. I'm
let
like,
me
they don't
ask
look
my-
at me like an old guy, right? Because I'm
Let
not
me
an old
ask
guy.
my former ex-wife. Hold on a second. I do remember, I remember standing next to Steve Lazinski. He was a friend of mine in 6th grade in 1976. And I remember saying to him, oh my God, in the year 2000, we're going to be 35.
Oh my God. I
can
said the same thing so
remember
many
saying that
times.
as clear as the nose on my face. I
many
even
times.
can picture us standing at the edge of the sidewalk at Wellwood Elementary School in Baltimore, Maryland, looking out to the horizon with my then whatever 7-year-old 11-year-old friend and saying, oh my God, in the year 2000 we're going to be 35, because we were reading George Orwell's 1984 thinking this is all in the distance.
Right. Exactly.
God damn it, what the fuck happened?
Dude, I remember that too. I was like, it's not just a new century, it's actually a new millennium. I'm going to be 35 years old when the new millennium hits. Like, whoa, I'm going to be so old.
All right, so I know while we're playing the old guy game for a second, just think about this for a second. Chew on this for a moment.
Oh God, I don't think I want to.
Think about if you were to look at someone that was born in 1900. 1900. So at the turn of the century. I mean, at the turn of the century.
My grandmother, no, she was born in 1910, I think. I mean, she's dead now, but anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, just think about 1900. Who was, like, we look at that time and we're like, oh my God, like, how are people existing like in the 1900s, in the 1800s before they actually had automobiles? And then in the 1900s when they first started driving in cars and having paved streets and there, we still had 48 states in the country. I mean, all of these things.
Dude, no air conditioning.
Yeah.
Right?
No television, no air conditioning, no internet, of course. All of that stuff. And somebody is going to be looking back at 2000 and saying, oh my God, these guys were born before the year 2000. I mean, I'll be long gone, but of course.
The thing that gets me when I like really stop and think perspective wise, right? When I went to college, I didn't have internet. I didn't have an email. There was no such thing. And that's kind of crazy to think about now. Like, you and I went through all of our school years having to go to a physical library and get fucking books and shit out.
Dewey Decimal System.
I know, crazy shit. I saw a funny meme today. It said, when you turn on the classic rock station and you're expecting to hear Zeppelin and you hear Weezer. And the meme is it's like a guy with his hand to his face, like,
you're old.
You're old.
You know you're old when.
That's it.
Oh my God.
That's it exactly.
All right, let me give you my latest T-Mobile promo for you, if you would, please. Okay,
Can
so
we get them to be a sponsor? Like, maybe they'll at least give us free.
I do remember when, I can't remember the name of the CEO that took over T-Mobile just a few years ago, but I remember really pursuing him as a guest for the Nice Guys on Business. And I did get a commitment from one of his handlers that he would come on the show. And then something happened, or maybe there was a big. And then he listened to an episode. It was over. He listened to an episode and he said, who the hell? I think he hired a new PR company at that point. So I got my T-Mobile phone. You know that. I got my new service with T-Mobile using my Apple phone. I signed up immediately for every single service that I could possibly sign up for that they had. They have T-Mobile Cell. They had a T-Mobile bank account, T-Mobile credit card, T-Mobile rebate for getting the service through them. Then they had T-Mobile Internet. So here's the only thing that didn't pay off, but in contrast comes clarity. So I brought their modem into the house, and it didn't quite live up to my expectations. They made the send back as easy as they possibly could. Their customer service is great. They actually assign, I love this, they play man to man, they don't play zone. So they actually have a handful of people that are assigned to your particular region in the country where you are. So when I call, I get that same team. And I've actually talked to the same person twice now, which is really, try to call AT&T and get that. I never got that with AT&T.
Dude, I've got AT&T wired internet right now. And let me just tell you, I'm on my T-Mobile hotspot right now talking to you. AT&T is just fucking horrible. And so this was like 2 weeks ago, our service was cutting in and out. And so I call them and they're like, yes, we realize there is a problem with your line. And I set up an appointment with a technician completely with a fucking robot, which I was not crazy about. But I'm like, you know what? At least I got the fucking appointment set up right. And they were supposed to come on Tuesday.
Between 9 and 9 p.m. Between 9 a.m. and 9 p.m.
Right. And, a very small window of 12 hours, right? Make sure you're home the entire time. For that
Don't leave. Don't go out. Don't open your refrigerator. Don't do anything during that time.
And like the internet is on Tuesday. Okay, good. Like Wednesday, it's cutting in and out again. And I'm like, did the tech come on Tuesday? And like, no. So they rescheduled for Friday. It's just, it's such bullshit because it's in and out again now. It's just total fucking bullshit. But I don't want to complain about AT&T. You know what I'm going to do tomorrow? I'm going to do something tomorrow that I've not done in a year and a half, 2 years.
What, have sex? What is that?
I've been that long for that. No, I'm going to go into the office.
What's an office?
I know our office has reopened.
Social Solutions office?
Exactly. Our office has reopened.
Wow.
And this is like big grand reopening and they're doing food and free shit. It actually reopened officially on Wednesday, but I was like, oh yeah, I'll go in on Wednesday and I'll go in on Friday. And I look at my schedule Wednesday. I'm like, no, that'd be easier from home. Fuck it, right? I just remember when I first, one of the reasons I moved to Austin, when 3 years ago, Social Solutions closed the Baltimore office, and they offered me to either work from home. I mean, they told me I could work remote, or they would pay to move me to Austin and work out of the Austin office. And I'm like, I'm ready for an adventure. It's all good. And I really didn't want to work from home. And then I'm here a year and what happens? I'm fucking forced to work from home.
Work from home, right.
I've just so fucking gotten used to it.
I know.
Like I'm thinking about tomorrow going into the office and I really just want to go in because I want to see the people I haven't seen in a while. There's a whole bunch of new hires and free food. I want the free food.
Of course.
But I'm thinking about like, oh, okay. Well, like if I want to get in at 9, it's like, okay, well, I've got to get up in time to take a shower and like
take some
clothes out and fucking drive. Like I gotta drive 20 minutes to the office. Like
find my pants. I haven't worn those in 2 years.
Right. I know. And I'm like, fuck, this is like work. I'm like, this is not going to happen often. I'm telling you right now.
I don't know how I'm going to be able to do this. This is not going to happen.
Yeah.
That's fun. That's really funny. It really is now an inconvenience to go into your office. And just think about all of the companies that for pretty much their entire existence. Not pretty much. Unless they had 100-year-old company, the chances are good that they never experienced this ever before.
Right.
That don't really realize, or now they realize that they don't need an office.
Right. Well, up until probably, let's say hypothetically 10, 15 years ago, a lot of jobs working remote, it wasn't an option. I mean, before we had ridiculous internet connections that you can stream anything and Zoom so you can meet with anybody anytime and everybody's got internet and like shit, you couldn't. You had to have an office if you wanted people to get the work done. And nowadays, I can't imagine companies that like own buildings, right? Like, let's say you're a real estate investment company, and you own a dozen or 100 office buildings. Like, they've got to be sitting empty because how many companies have realized, shit, out of my 200 employees, I only need offices for 50 because the rest can work remote and they're being just as efficient.
All right, but they haven't reduced their prices because they don't have to bring people into their offices. So really what they have done is they've probably saved on electricity. I don't think they've been, I want to say that they've been affected, but I don't know that that's the truth. I don't know that they have been adversely hurt by this whole scenario.
It certainly depends on your company and the service that you provide. But I think tons of companies have realized that allowing people to work from home it's really not that much of a hit on the production, on the productivity for some people. So
My son, I don't want to give away too much of this because I don't know what is public and what isn't, but my son did get a new job that he is going to be starting in a couple weeks. I know that he's already given notice to his old job, but not only is the pay, I can't even share it with you. It's so ridiculously
you got to
high.
put it in the chat, because I remember when you first told me about a startup that he got a job at. I don't think it lasted long, but it was some ridiculous amount of money for somebody just out of college with no real. What the fuck? What is he doing? Fucking graphic design for that kind of money?
But he's ultra talented. There's no doubt that he's ultra talented. But the company has really taken a liking to him. I mean, they love him. And this is a company that has a valuation of $5 billion. They're a SaaS, a software as a service, and they do data collection and data mining for small companies like Apple, Google, AT&T. I was looking at their client list, and I went to their website, and I'm like, I can't figure out from their website what they actually do. So I said to my son, I said, Adam, is like what do they do? I'm looking at their website, and he goes, that's exactly why they're bringing me on board. They want me to make their I don't know, make their
presence,
brand. Yeah, maybe make their presence more like understandable. I mean, I don't really know. I don't 100% know what they do other than the data mining whole thing. But I was so excited for him that he's making great money. They gave him a signing bonus. They gave him a good salary. They give them like health insurance, of course. There's a 401k that's attached to it. It's like one of these tech companies that just is doing so well. And I love the companies that are doing well and they reward their people for what, it's like, I'm sure a company that's got a valuation of $5 billion. Can you imagine these guys? The guys that started it, they're probably in their 30s or 40s now. They're not like old guys. They're like young guys, and these guys are probably making, $150, $200 million each a year. Two guys, and they're the founders of the company, and they look like just normal guys.
Oh, it's insane. Is he working remote?
Oh, that was it. That was why it started the conversation, because he is working 100% remote. They don't even have an office for him to go to. I mean, they have an office, but they don't have an office for him to go to. It's not what his role is. His role is at home.
That's what's so crazy too, is when you think about like, we've had this debate about federal minimum wage before, and I think it's ridiculous. I mean, I'm relatively liberal, but I totally disagree with the federal minimum wage, because $15 an hour in San Francisco or New York, yeah, absolutely, that is like, I'd be surprised if anybody's working in either of those cities and making less than $15 an hour. But in Mississippi, you're like a fucking millionaire at that, right? So that's why I don't think they should do it federal wise. But it's really interesting to me. I think about people working in New York, right? Let's say you had a career in New York City, right? If you are in New York City and you have to go into an office in New York City, come on. They've got to pay you fucking 80, 100, 110 grand just to be able to live.
Right.
How many of those companies that not only are not like, they don't have to pay the ridiculous rents in the high rises in New York City for their offices? I'm wondering if they also don't have to pay their employees. Like, obviously you're paying somebody a premium because you're in New York City or in San Francisco or in
I mean, if that is the case, where the headquarters of this company, which is not located in like a ultra A+ rent district, I mean, they're still paying him like he's a New Yorker, and it's not because he lives in New York. He could live in Minnesota or whatever in Kansas City, and he would still get the same income. It's kind of interesting. It's like, I think about when, and I don't want to get into a political conversation, but yeah, at some point, because we are such a global world and such a gig economy now, overseas people, while they are not controlled by the taxation, they don't have any taxation through the federal government. At what point does the federal government say, you got some remote people working overseas. We need to what would it be called? Not a, we would need to like bump up we need to tax you so that they are the same level as somebody that's working here in the United States. What would that be? Not a rebate, but a,
Well, what's so interesting about that? I just heard about legislation that is trying to get companies that are global companies that have like tax shelters because they have an office in Ireland
right.
or in the Caribbean or somewhere where the tax laws are very generous, and they fund all their money like trying to redo all this shit, right? And there was a law, I don't know what the hell they call it because it's global, right? 130 countries have signed on to this pact to basically say, here's the deal. We are going to, if someone has a company here in our country,
right,
we're going to charge them a minimum 10% tax or something. I don't know what the deal is, right? But 130 countries have agreed on this, except now the US and Great Britain apparently are the two big players who are like, not so sure. Like basically,
so are they
we're
on our
holding
side
the whole
then?
thing up.
Is that good for us that they're, so if we have remote workers, instead of spending $5 an hour for somebody that over here would cost us $20 an hour for, is that something that's good for us or bad for us? I didn't follow what you were saying.
I totally don't think this is actually going to affect us at all. It's really designed for companies like Google.
They take the taxes.
That do billions of dollars in revenue. And they say, oh yeah, well, our headquarters are in Ireland and they charge us no corporate tax. And that's why I don't have to pay shit in corporate tax, because they can funnel the revenue, like I'm making air quotes, the revenue to whatever country they want because they are global. And so that's exactly what this new legislature is trying to prevent, which to me, first of all, it is perfect because how many huge companies out there are getting all these fucking tax breaks for little loophole shit like that. But let's say you are a company like, and I didn't realize Ireland was a company that did this. Like there are a lot of big corporations that have a headquarters in Ireland because the tax laws are very lax. And it's good for Ireland because basically Ireland goes from getting nothing or 1% or whatever minor thing to a minimum of 10%. So they're going to get the revenue too. It's not like all these companies are going to like, fuck it, I'm leaving Ireland. It's like, there's no place else you can go.
So why is the US saying that they're not going to hop on board with this? Because it really doesn't affect, it doesn't hurt the US. It might actually help them because it might drive some people out of those tax sheltered countries.
It's because of the fucking lobbyists. Like basically there are companies probably like Google and Amazon and big companies that are lobbying our congressmen and our representatives and senators to go, no, this isn't good. You need to change it. You need to basically hold it up in fucking debate.
It's kind of it's not very different for us in that struggle for, hey, what state? I mean, we've been in Maryland, Texas, California. I mean, it's no different than us trying to figure out, all right, where is the best place for us to put our corporate headquarters? We have Maryland, Texas. It's just different. It's not out of the country. It's just a state versus it's which state has the least state income tax that we want to pay.
What's your state income tax in California?
I can't count that high. Is it over? I believe it's over 100%.
Yeah, it's beyond ridiculous. And I've got no state tax in Texas. Now, the alternative, at least here in Texas, like the property taxes are higher. So if I'm somebody who doesn't own property, I'm making out like a bandit. Now, if I do own property, I'm still doing better, I think, than if I was paying state income tax. But that they got to have the revenue somewhere, right?
And all around the horn, if you live in California, you're totally fucked because I know what our real estate tax is, and I know what my state income tax is as well. It's like I'd much rather let's just have everything go through you. I love everything in Texas. Let's just keep it all in Texas.
Yep, I think that's the plan. It's amazing that when we start. You and I, whenever we do this, that's what we're going to talk about, like podcast production, time and effort put in. What was the show you listened to that's got like 15 people on the team to produce the show?
Oh, geez.
That Head the Heart.
We're talking Hidden Brain.
Hidden Brain, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
it's a great show. It's a great show.
it's just crazy to me when you listen to a podcast and you hear the end credits at the end, and it's like, okay, well, we'd like to thank the host, Joe, and the producer, and the executive producer, and the editor, and the engineer, and the sound monitors, and all of our researchers, and then the writers,
fact
and
checkers.
the music, and the fact checkers, right? The fucking fact checkers.
We don't have any of those bitches.
I'm thinking to myself, you people put more time into one episode than we've put into 1,500 or 1,300 fucking episodes. You and I literally, we hit record, and like today, I'm thinking we start talking, and we're talking about like me and dating, and I'm like, I'm not interested in this. I don't want. And like 5 or 8 minutes in, I'm thinking to myself, this isn't going to be an interesting episode. Oh my God, maybe we should have actually come up with a topic. Maybe we should have planned something ahead of time. But no, here we are 35 minutes later.
We find our groove.
And we find our groove, and this is all we fucking do every goddamn time. And somehow 1,500 to 2,000 people want to listen every week. I don't fucking get it still, but we appreciate you guys.
I don't know who you are.
I mean, we can't cash you download, but we still appreciate you.
Hey, look,
but yeah, like
now we're on the idea that fuck, we have produced 1,302 episodes now. I mean, originally it was, all right, let's get to the number one spot on Overcast. And we didn't direct ourselves that way, but that's ended up what happening. So we kind of hitched our wagon on the, hey, we're number one on Overcast. And then I landed Gary Vee and Ariana and Jeffrey Gitomer and John Maxwell. And then we hitched our wagon on the, hey, we got the VIPs on our show. And we did that. Then we probably, landed our first client in Lou Diamond. And that was the first of, let's say, 300 clients. And then I hitched my wagon on the, let's get a whole bunch of clients as a result of this. And now we have 1,300 episodes. And I'm like, now I'm just going to hitch my wagon on the 1,300 episode thing and 4 million downloads. I don't give a shit where it comes from. And you know what? We play to our successes, and we play to our strengths. If somebody said to me, well, how many people do you listen to each episode? I'm like, you're asking the wrong question. I mean, I don't think it's about how many people listen to each episode. Great. If you want it, like I talked to a prospect today. I know today was like a really good day for me. So
great day today. We closed 2 deals today. Fucking great day today.
I'm feeling really high on myself today. I'm feeling really big today. So after closing these 2 pretty significant sales today, I then had a prospecting call. It's like putting me and a prospect across from a table from each other in a stadium of people that is my home stadium. It's like I am going to close the fucking prospect, not because I'm saying anything that is like so amazing, but because I just have confidence on my side. And at that point during the day, and probably that point, this is how I should just always be, is I don't care if you buy what I have or not. Mm-hmm. I know what we do is good, and I know what we do is right, and I know our philosophy is on point. We are the proof that we are the only proof. Even if I've never done this with anybody before, we are the only proof that you need to know that what we do is right and successful as it relates to podcasting. As it relates to being really good husbands, I think we've proven ourselves that we're pretty bad at that shit.
Yeah, we've definitely proven that we're pretty bad at that shit.
So I'm talking to this lady today, and we're talking about her show, and I don't want to mention her name because I told her about our show, so she might be listening to the show right now. And I said to her, well, what is your goal? She tells me about, she's like 20 episodes into her show, and it's doing okay, and she's got good listeners, and she's trying to figure like her stride out and trying to figure out how to make money from her show. And I said, well, tell me what is the goal of your show? And she goes, it's in lead gen. I'm trying to use my show for lead gen and business development. I'm like, totally cool. And then she starts to tell me about her attempts at audience growth. And I said, okay, that's good. I said, but what is your goal for your show? She's like, the goal for my show is to find prospective clients for my show. I mean, for my services. And I'm like, well, why are you focusing on your audience then? I mean, yeah, you will get your audience eventually, but that's like a byproduct of this other thing, this guest to client, guest to gold, all the other stuff that I talk about all the time. And I don't think that she really got it. Mm-hmm. Sometimes when you have like this thing clicks like that today, the call that we had today with our new client, that he and his team, they get it.
They get it.
100%. She didn't get it. So it's like almost like I could continue talking, but I'm like, no, I'm just saying you a sentence or two on what we do. And I hope you see it, but how do you convince a client that doesn't see it to see it?
You can't always. I mean, you try to explain it in a different way. You try and do it from a different perspective. Sometimes maybe if I talk to them, they hear it because I explain it in a slightly different way, but you can't always get through. It's tough when I think sometimes people, especially entrepreneurs or people who are used to a certain sales funnel, right? Like they're used to the idea that, look, yes, I sell a business consulting service, but I know that to find that one person, I need to have 10 that have purchased my $100 product. And out of those 10, to get those 10, I have to have 100 that paid $1.99. And to get those 100, I have to have 1,000 that I give it away to free. And you get that stuck in your head that my goal is to give this away to 1,000 people because the goal will get me to one client. But you can't always clear that path from their head. You don't have to start at 1,000 to get to one. People don't always get it.
Yeah. And every time you give me that explanation, I'm like, oh yeah, that's a really good analogy. Can you put that on like a Loom video?
Oh, dude, that's my favorite analogy because how many, like every entrepreneur out there that, especially when you've got
online environment,
modern and funnel, as soon as you say funnel, okay, how does a funnel work? Here's how a funnel works. You have a free, what do they call it? Not lead gen. It's called
ethical bribe.
Well, ethical bribe, right? Or a
lead
tease
magnet,
or whatever.
Lead
magnet. That's it. You got your lead magnet and it's some free thing that you give away. Now, hopefully this free thing, it has value and it's something that you're good at, but you give it away for free because you're hoping that 1,000 people will take it for free. And then out of those 1,000 people, you're hoping that 100 of them are going to go, hey, this guy kind of knows what he's doing. I'm going to buy his $10 product, right? And then you're hoping that 100 people that buy the $10 product, out of those, maybe 10 of those are like, this guy really knows his shit. I'm going to spend $500 on his bigger product. And out of those 10 people, one person is going to be like, I need that guy as my business consultant for the next year. And you make 10 grand from that. What if you could find the one guy and just talk to him and not go through the rest of the shit? That's what we teach.
Yeah, I don't want to go through the rest of the shit. And I only want to do it not because I'm ambitious, but because I'm lazy.
Right?
I'm ambitiously lazy.
100%. That's way too much fucking work.
That was a lot of business talk right there. I think we're going to wrap up the episode here. We're 45 minutes into a topic that we had no idea what we were going to talk about before we got into it. Unless you have something else.
Any other day that we do this, but yeah.
Very true. Well, in the meantime, Steve O'Brien, go ahead and take us out of here.
The Nice Guys on Business are professional podcasters. Please do not try this at home. It may seem simple, kids, but lots of people get hurt in the process. Void where prohibited, including Mexico, Puerto Rico, Fredonia, or your in-laws. The Nice Guys on Business are not responsible for any claims of liability or any guarantee that these two morons know what they're talking about. There is no promise that being nice to people will help your business, but calling people assholes, dumb, incontinent fuckwads will definitely lose you business. For any and all claims, shit in one hand and wish in the other, and see which one fills up first. Thank you for listening to the Nice Guys on Business podcast. I'm Steve O'Brien.